Hello and welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Dina Delisa Gonzer in for Cara DeFalco.
And I'm Mike Favetta. Thanks for joining us this morning. Dina, lots of smoke across New Jersey
Yes.
over the last week or so. You had some smells up in Morris County.
For
I
sure.
smelled it over in Bergen County. And the growing concern about these fires is the number of them here across New Jersey. Adding to the concern, of course, are the very dry conditions. The state declared a drought warning, urging residents to conserve water. On New Jersey's Veronica Dudo brings us the very latest on the wildfires.
New Jersey is contending with a series of wildfires worsened by severe drought conditions. Fires in Rockaway Township have burned through 77 acres, though they're largely contained. Meanwhile, in West Milford, a major fire has spread across 2,000 acres, threatening property and leading to large-scale firefighting operations. Local resources are stretched as crews battle simultaneous fires near Pompton Lake and Englewood Cliffs, where the fire department is handling both forest and structural fires. This increased fire risk is tied to New Jersey's prolonged drought, which has made dry, wooded areas especially vulnerable. As a result, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection issued a statewide drought watch, encouraging residents to conserve water and exercise extreme caution with fire-related activities. With nearly 87% of the Garden State experiencing abnormally dry or drought conditions, officials are warning that wildfires are likely to continue. They urge residents to stay informed about local advisories, prepare for possible evacuations, and avoid any activities that could accidentally ignite new fires. Reporting for On New Jersey, I'm Veronica Dudo.
So incredible images right here in New Jersey, something that you'd think were maybe out from the West in California, to places that typically see these more frequent wildfires. But we are seeing an increase in the frequency and intensity of our wildfires, impacting our communities and environment. So to help us understand these changes and their consequences, we're joined by Dr. David Robinson, Rutgers University professor and the New Jersey State climatologist. Welcome, Dr. Robinson.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Robinson. Thank you for joining us. And to start, can you give us a sense of why we're seeing an increase in wildfires in New Jersey and what the main factors are that are driving this surge?
Yeah. This fall, we're in the midst of really a remarkable dry spell. September was the third driest September in 130 years, but that was done over by October, which not only was the driest October on record in New Jersey, the driest of any month on record since records began in 1895. And then we've only had one minor period of rain thus far, the first half of November. So it's not the duration of the drought we're experiencing right now, it's the intensity, the extreme nature, something we haven't seen in the past, thus drying out all the fuel on the forest floor. A spark comes along, and we've had all these numerous wildfires across the state.
And Dr. Robinson, even just taking a drive along some of the reservoirs here in New Jersey, you could see how there used to be reservoirs there. Some are completely dried out, at least in the shallow areas. So for that reason, New Jersey has declared a drought warning and is urging residents to reduce water use. But our question is, how have recent weather patterns and climate trends influenced conditions that led to these wildfires in our state?
Yeah. It's a very persistent atmospheric pattern that goes back to late summer with what we call a ridge of high pressure sitting over the eastern United States, forcing the jet stream north into Canada and serving as a block for any moisture coming from the tropics or any storm coming across the country. So the high pressure creates its own fair weather, and it serves as a blockade for any incursions of moisture. And what's so unusual is how persistent it's been. We see this for 2 or 3 weeks and we get dry, and in the summer that can cause what we call a flash drought. But this has been going on 6, 8+ weeks, and that's what makes it so unusual. Now, you mentioned the climate aspect to it. Underlying all of our day-to-day, week-to-week weather is the climate change we're experiencing. New Jersey's getting warmer, and as a result of that, that helps dry things out faster. So there is a climate change aspect to this, and it underpins all the day-to-day weather events that have led to this drought.
Now, many residents are concerned, rightfully so, about the impact of wildfire smoke on air quality. I mean, you can smell it, you could feel it in your throat. How does wildfire smoke affect the air we breathe, and what are the potential health implications?
It's quite dangerous. You have that particulate matter, and it gets into your lungs, and particularly those who have respiratory issues, or the young or the infirmed. That can be a big problem. Not just for them, mind you, if you're out exercising, for instance. So, we were wearing masks for COVID inside the house. And here, just like when we experienced smoke a year ago from the wildfires out in Western Canada, we're wearing masks outside. And that would be a good idea. If you're in an area that's getting a particularly heavy smoke plume coming into you, don't exercise outside. If you can, wear a mask when you're outside.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point about the other aspects of how the smoke affects our lives. We know, yes, it affects us personally and the human body, but other effects such as, soil and water sources and plant life. The other day, as the sun was setting, that smoke was kind of concentrating down to near the ground. And some of those weather stations, or the air quality reporting stations, jumped and spiked up to the red and purple levels where it was, really unhealthy. But our question is, what other environmental effects does this long-term smoke exposure have for, nature and water sources and plant life in New Jersey?
Well, it does affect the amount of solar radiation making it to the ground. So if it was persistent, it would affect the photosynthesis of plants and such. But more, it's just another example of how the air is very dry, smoke-filled, and that's just exacerbating drought conditions. So that's really what it comes down to. It's the respiratory issues that can result from the smoke and just the overall desiccation of this region right now.
And finally, Dr. Robinson, is there any advice you'd give to the viewers to help them understand and prepare for wildfire risks in our state?
Well, absolutely be very, very vigilant when you're outside. If you're a smoker, don't throw a butt out there. Don't light a fire. Don't try to burn the leaves that you've raked in your backyard. No outdoor use of anything that might create a spark and spawn a fire. That's really the case right now. Other than that, just be very mindful of your use of water. That's inside the home. It's too late to get your grass to grow or your garden to grow right now. So stop using water outside and hope that the rains will return with some snows over the winter and fill our reservoirs so we're not in a dangerous situation with low reservoir levels come next spring.
Dr. David Robinson, thank you so much for joining us with your expertise. Love having you on the show, and we'll keep an eye on the drought situation. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Dina, that's one of the long-term questions is people even keep asking me, what do we expect? When is this going to end? And will there be any long-term effects going into the winter and spring? And Dr. Robinson clearly stated if we don't have much snow this winter, there will be a problem in the spring with the drought leading us into our next dry season, which is usually in May and April.
For sure. Seeing those reservoirs all dried up is really wild. So hoping we get some rain soon.
Yep.
Well, coming up, it is Diabetes Day here in New Jersey. Stay tuned for some health tips after this.